Hi, I'm Joy,
Hi, I'm Lorraine.
and this is Girlish Gurus. And Lorraine, why are we here?
We're here to talk about mid-lifestyle topics for women who are 45 and older to help you live your best, healthiest, and most fulfilled life. We're also going to have lots of fun along the way.
Be sure to stick around until the end for fun announcements and goodies you won't want to miss.
So let's get started.
Welcome back to another episode of Girlish Gurus. I'm Joy.
And I'm Lorraine.
Lorraine, what are we talking about today?
We have a special guest today, Dr. Deanna Minich. But before we get started, I just have to do a little disclaimer. This episode does not contain any medical advice. It is purely for educational purposes only. Dr. Minnich is a nutrition scientist, internationally recognized educator, and author with over 20 years of experience in functional and integrative nutrition. She holds a master's degree in nutrition and dietetics from the University of Illinois at Chicago, and a PhD in medical sciences with a nutrition focus from the University of Groningen in the Netherlands. Dr. Minich has authored 7 consumer wellness books, contributed to dozens of scientific publications, and spent a decade working alongside Dr. Jeffrey Bland, the father of functional medicine. She has served on advisory boards for the Institute for Functional Medicine and the American Nutrition Association and continues to teach at the graduate level. She is currently the Chief Science Officer at Symphony Natural Health, and she was honored in 2025 with the Linus and Ava Helen Pauling Award in Functional Medicine. Dr. Minich is deeply passionate about helping people thrive through lifestyle practices that support physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. Welcome, Dr. Minich.
Welcome.
Wow, lovely to be here with both of you. I just feel like this is going to be such a robust conversation. And it's very timely, right? Because menopause is having its moments. So
Oh, it definitely is. Oh my gosh, everyone's talking about it, right? Celebrities, influencers, health coaches.
And rightly so. It's about time.
Yes. And I have actually, we was talking about that you are the Chief Science Officer at Symphony Natural Health, and I have been an affiliate of theirs for several years, and their product, Femmenessence. So we're going to get into that in a little bit, but first we're just going to jump into the science and menopause and hormones and all of that stuff. So my first question for you would be, hormonal transitions like perimenopause and menopause are often framed as something going wrong. How do you reframe these stages as natural rhythmic transitions rather than decline?
yeah, that's such a great first question because so many women actually fear menopause because they feel like it's looming and it's waiting for them. They don't know what to expect and they don't know what to do. So every woman will have this transition. It is completely natural to go through menopause and also to have a perimenopausal phase where the hormones start to flux and start to, I would say, do a little bit of a dance. And that can lead to a little bit of an upset in terms of our body system. So we start feeling differently in our bodies. We start feeling differently overall. We may start sleeping in an altered way where we're not having a sound sleep. So what is different and what is perhaps unnatural is that for some women, they have an accelerated decline of their endocrine system. So they may actually go through perimenopause. Instead of your traditional 4 to 6 years before menopause, they may start going through it even earlier and in a more accelerated and severe way, which is definitely something that we want to focus on, right? Because we want to fine tune our whole endocrine system, not just the ovaries, but we want to look at how does the brain connect to the ovaries? How does the brain connect to the adrenals? What about the thyroid? We have to be looking at the entire endocrine circuit because if a woman hasn't tended to her stress levels, to her sleep, to her mood state, to her circadian rhythm, she may actually be experiencing this endocrine decline that will lead to earlier onset of perimenopause and potentially worse symptoms. So that's really what we're having a conversation about is how do we get in there soon and start to optimize her body so that when she experiences menopause, she's going to be in the fittest place possible.
I love that. And I know a lot of women, when they go to their their doctors or their gynecologists, they're told that these are normal or common
Yeah.
symptoms of menopause. And although they're common, they're probably not normal, right?
Well, they are to be you look at culturally other places around the world that have women going through menopause, and what do you hear? In Japan, as an example, there is kind of a reverence around going through menopause, and you
Hmm.
don't quite hear the same degree of issues from a symptom perspective. The same thing with China. And you could say, well, is that because of their diet? Is it because of the cultural aspect of women not speaking up? Whatever the case is, I do think we need to honor what a woman is experiencing. And if she feels like there is something that needs to be addressed or that something is off, it's relevant and we need to
Hmm.
look at that, because sometimes we don't always see how the body is changing through laboratory values. So you might fit within a certain laboratory range, but something is off about
Right.
your body, right? It's like,
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
I can tell that my mood is not the same. I can
Something's
tell
not
that my
right.
sleep is off, right? I don't need a laboratory test. A lab gives us a point in time, which is important and it helps
Hmm.
to inform us. But we are the authorities of our bodies and we know what we're experiencing in the day to day. So I think
Right.
women need to be heard and to be acknowledged for what they're going through, that it's not all in their head, that they're not making more of it than it really is, that there is something to this from a body, mind, emotion, and perhaps even a spiritual aspect, which we can talk about too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a great segue into a question I have about there's just so many things involved here, and it's something that we've been experiencing for forever, but we haven't really had the medical community interested even in studying it and going into the underlying causes and how to optimize your menopause experience. Okay, so you often speak about root cause healing when it comes to hormone health. What does addressing the root cause really mean, especially during those years? Because up to this point, I think it's coming to have its moment, but this has been an ongoing problem for, I mean, my mother went through it and there was very little help for her. So can you kind of talk to us about that and give us some background about root cause healing and how to optimize it?
That's probably one of my favorite questions because, like both of you, we are connected to functional medicine. And so when I think of functional medicine, one of the things that defines it is we're looking at the why, right? I'm a scientist by training. I'm always looking at mechanisms, like what precipitated that effect in the body, right? So I'm going to list out a couple of things that would seem to be involved in worse menopausal symptoms, or at least they are involved in the endocrine decline that we see. First and foremost, we need to consider age and genetics. Many times the onset of when we first got our menstrual period, if that was later in our teen years or earlier, that could lead to more or less thinking about like when we would go through menopause. So there are some calculations around that. It's not the destiny, but there is something about age. And in some cases, we have accelerated the aging process. That can be through exposure to environmental contaminants. We even call
Hmm.
those things endocrine disruptors.
Yeah.
Just think about
Hmm.
it. I mean, I even have a niece who is about to turn 12. And she's interested in wearing makeup and nail polish and hair products. If you think of women over time throughout their different decades, they continue to have this exposure to these environmental endocrine disruptors, and this starts to disrupt the entire endocrine system. So that can lead to less efficiency, more problems, more symptoms, and ultimately can spur on a worse perimenopause and menopause transition. There can also be nutrient insufficiencies and
Hmm.
deficiencies, right? So if we think about magnesium, omega 3s, we think about even iron or some of the other minerals like zinc. All the different nutrients have their role, whether we're looking at the macronutrients, protein, carbohydrate, and fat. We're looking at the micronutrients like vitamins and minerals, or even, one of the things I love to talk about is phytonutrients, plant compounds. Simply put, people are not getting enough in the way of these
Yeah.
plant compounds and fiber, which will prime their gut. And the
Mhm.
gut is actually part of the endocrine system. The gut determines how we metabolize, how we take up, and how we excrete hormones. If a woman has had a lot of stress in her life, she might be more primed towards a rougher ride during that perimenopausal time. If she has done shift work, she has been smoking, or she drinks alcohol, she does recreational drugs, medications, is she sedentary? So many different things can chip away at our endocrine reserve. So, many women are thinking like, oh my gosh, when I hit 40, but really, if you're 25, you need to be thinking about it. If you
Mhm.
are
Right.
30, if you're 35, every step along the way is relevant. So then we might be thinking about, well, what about the woman who's 55 or 65? Now she's gone through it. Can she still rescue her endocrine system? And the answer is yes. We can always get in to start to repair the communication. It's an ongoing process. And, so much of our inner intelligence is connected to how the circadian rhythm and the endocrine system work together, because the light, the darkness, all of these things are driving hormones, hormone release, and even activity in the body. So, bottom line is, there is always something that we can probably be doing better. I know for some women, they just want to get in. Maybe they're 40, they're going through perimenopause, they need help now. So, of course, you both and myself, we speak the language of nutrition and lifestyle, making sure
Mhm.
that we hit on those foundational cylinders. And then from there, since, we want to kind of expedite and get that endocrine system cleared up and communicating, bringing in a supplement like Femmenessence, which
Mhm.
can get in there and just within a few weeks' time can start to re-regulate the endocrine system.
So, and speaking about feminescence, it's often described as unique because it works with the body, right, rather than balancing hormones. So, can you explain how feminescence supports the endocrine system and what the clinical research shows?
You bet. Yeah, and this is quite unique because when I think of women going through menopause or perimenopause, they just think, oh, I need more hormones. Let me just go and get a prescription from my doctor. I'll start wearing an estradiol patch, or I just need to start taking progesterone. I need more hormones. But hormones have many more, I would say, aspects in the body. We need to tend to them once they're in the body. And the way that they'll be received is dependent on, again, the health of our endocrine system. So, Femmenessence is a specific proprietary blend of organic and bioavailable maca phenotypes. So, it's not just any maca, it's a very specific blend. And this particular blend of phenotypes of maca have been tested in 4 clinical trials, which is actually quite astounding considering that when the average woman goes to the grocery store or to a store, she's bombarded with supplements on the shelf, right? But Femmenessence is the only dietary supplement with published double-blind, placebo-controlled human clinical trials that show an effect on hormones. And further, these effect on hormones are seen in the population that would be using the product, perimenopausal and postmenopausal women. So within Femmenessence, it is a life stage product line. So you have one of the products, which is for women who are still having a menstrual cycle. So they're looking to balance their hormones and re-regulate the endocrine system, maybe have a better period every month, maybe because maybe they have pain or they have mood issues. So
Mhm.
that's one aspect. And then the perimenopausal product is designed to address menopausal symptoms. So helping to, again, rebalance. And this is, I believe, not really the time to be bringing in exogenous hormones because hormones are all over the place. So if you just add in more hormones without tending to the entire system, it can create more chaos, is my
Mhm.
perspective. And then there is a product for postmenopause. And in that product specifically, there is the formulation, but then there are also added maca phenotypes that help to address things like bone health and heart health and even body composition. So a woman is complex, right? And beautifully complex. And that's why Femmenessence as a product platform has each of the three products designed for that woman's stage of life. So it's, and there's so much clinical testing that went along with that, but then also even before the clinical trials were done, there were preclinical studies. So looking at how does this work, testing the effects, trying to get the dose right. So this product has been in the market for over 18 years now. And when I joined the company in 2022, I was thinking, this is like the best kept secret within the hormone space. And at that time, I was going through perimenopause. So it was like the perfect thing because
Right.
I was actually using it. And then
Yeah.
when I went through menopause, then I transitioned over into the postmenopausal product. So I have personal and professional experience using the product. Now, do I use that alone? No. It's part of the suite of many of all of the different things that I'm doing to keep my endocrine system fit, balanced, and even optimized.
So for women that are listening, it doesn't matter if you're perimenopause or postmenopause as far as starting on Femmenessence. Because now there's always the question with HRT, when's the best time and what's safe, and the
Yeah.
studies obviously have been updated on that. But for Femmenessence, they can basically start at any point, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And actually, that's one of the biggest questions we get. A woman will say, well, wait a minute, I'm on HRT, so I think it's too late for Femmenessence. But actually, we have a way to introduce the Femmenessence into a person's regimen. And what can happen is that they may actually need less of the HRT, which can be a
Mhm.
good thing because the HRT isn't going to be perfect, right? It's a patch, it has adhesives. The prometrium that many people are taking has things like peanut oil in it. They aren't perfect in terms of, in the way that I see them as being like delivery systems of the hormones that are clean. Obviously there are ways to compound the bioidentical hormones and get them that way, but long story short, you can bring in Femmenessence after the fact, after you've started HRT. You can also start Femmenessence before going HRT and working with a practitioner to kind of optimize and dial in exactly what you may need after being on Femmenessence for a couple of months. There
Mhm.
is also, and I bet your audience really is wondering about this as well. You have women in their mid 60s and 70s who are thinking, oh, wow. I mean, is it too late for me to start HRT? Maybe I should go with something
Yeah.
safer like Femmenessence, where I'm not introducing hormones. I'm just helping
Mhm.
my endocrine system to be stimulated, to be in gear, and to be optimized for
Mhm.
my older years. Now I'm like 10 plus years away from menopause. And I think
Yeah.
that is a perfect demographic of people to actually be looking at the product. I think it is wonderful in that way because, again, you're not introducing hormones, you're getting the body primed, you're getting the endocrine system. It's almost like just you're igniting it, you're
Mhm.
stimulating it. So, whatever is available, like getting the brain reconnected into the ovaries, the adrenals, the thyroid in a healthy way, that's what we're looking at. And if you think about postmenopause, where do you get estrogen from? You get it from the adrenals and you get it from the fat tissue. So
Mhm.
you can still make smaller amounts of estrogen that are biologically appropriate for that stage of life. So it's not like she's going to take Femmenessence during postmenopause and start to have this high elevation in her estradiol levels. What we see in the clinical studies is that the levels do balance and they are supported, but for that woman's stage of life. So, and we kind of see that there's kind of a threshold effect. It's
Mhm.
almost like the Femmenessence through targeting the endocrine system. What it is able to do is maximize the body's production, and then it reaches that more steady state, which in the studies we see at about like the mid 60s So, if for anybody who measures their hormones, looking at picograms per ml, right? So, looking at like 65, 69, and that seems to be a sweet spot. But that's what we saw in the studies. For every woman, that's going to be a little bit different based
Mhm.
on, again, the health of her adrenals, how much fat tissue does she have, and how healthy is she, and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, the lifestyle.
Yeah.
What I love about Femmenessence and Symphony Natural Health is that you actually have a medical team on
Yeah.
staff. And when I've referred women to that product, they've had questions like someone was on thyroid medicine. Can I still do the Femmenessence? And they are so, is it Jan?
Jan
Jan,
Roberts
Jan
and Dr.
Roberts.
Mona Fahum. Yeah. Oh
And
yeah, Jan has been with us for years.
she has been fantastic. She answers all the questions and gives me the exact protocol that they should follow for like thyroid, libido, whatever their issue might be. So, any ladies listening to this, if you are considering using this product, which I highly recommend,
Right.
just know that there is a support system there that if you have any questions, and I can say she honestly has gotten back to me within 24 hours.
Oh yeah.
I'm
They're
not
responsive.
making
Yeah.
that promise
No,
for her, but
that's
they are
true.
very
Yeah.
very responsive. Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and I give credit to the CEO of the company. His name is James Frame. I've never seen a man so helpful in really creating this whole platform for women's health in the way that he has done over the years. Like he started this company when he was 22 with Dr.
Wow.
Henry Meissner, and they're the ones that Dr. Meissner was really the brain trust of trying to figure out all these different phenotypes of maca, how they played into women's health. But one of the things that the company has is one of its highest tiers of, what they always deliver on is the integrity of the customer service. It's so important to connect to people by their first names, to help them along. In some cases, the medical team has even recommended different products for the person.
Yeah,
It's not like we just see
that's
everything
true.
through the lens of feminescence. It's like, well, maybe this other product might be better for that person based on their symptoms. Or maybe that person would do really well with feminescence plus this other
Hmm.
nutrient, maybe it's omega 3s or whatever. So it's not like it's just beating on the same drum of just all things feminescence. When you go through the medical team, they're going to give you much more context. They're going to realize that, yeah, there are many root causes. Every woman's a little bit different. And
Hmm.
with feminescence, there is a little bit of sometimes you have to tweak the dose a little bit as she gets adjusted to it. And you may need actually less because now her
Yeah.
endocrine system is now re-regulated. So yeah, if anybody wants to contact the medical team, it's medical.team@symphonynaturalhealth.com. So you're free to email them, ask them questions, even before you buy the product if you have
Right.
questions or concerns.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And I have been on my own hormone replacement journey and used Femmenessence, and I'm still working on it. So one of the questions I have that it's always ongoing for me, and I know it's ongoing for women everywhere, and a good place to start is asking about detoxification, because as you said before, there's so many environmental things
Yeah.
and the way we live in our Western society, like with all the candles and fragrances and, etc.
Ah, I I'm with you.
Yes. So,
Especially fragrances and candles
yes. And I am a
and
lover of
fabric
perfume.
softener.
Oh, fabric dryer sheets.
Ah,
Oh my
and
gosh.
plastic water bottles, just the obvious
Yes.
things that we see every day. Yeah.
Right. Yes, for sure. So, can you talk a little bit about how detoxification can play a huge role in hormone balance?
So, one of the acronyms that I have come up with to kind of bring it all together is, I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's STAME, STAME. So, when we think of hormones, we think of the S for synthesis. In other words, how do we help the endocrine system make more hormones naturally, right? That's where most people are focused. Synthesis, production, let me have more hormones. But that's not the end of that sequence. Then we have T, which is for transport. This is where having proper hydration comes in because if your hormones are being produced but not getting to the target tissues to fit into that receptor, you're not getting activity. So, transport, how do you move those hormones from one place to another? Hydration, definitely overlooked. And our hydration starts to change when we start going through perimenopause. Our body compartments start to change in that respect. So that's why having even things like one of the other Symphony products, ironically, is a salt product called Himalayan crystal salt.
Mhm.
And so bringing in proper minerals, proper salt water balance is really essential, I think. Salt has been maligned, and I think wrongly so. I think we need just the right amount to properly move things through. We also need adequate protein because how are those hormones transported through the body? Through a protein, because those hormones tend to be more fatty. And so they need a protein carrier to get through the liquid of the blood. So we need a little bit more protein. So many people are hearing about protein right now, right? So that's really important for transport. The next stage is A for activation. So that's where things like phytoestrogens come in because you hear about flaxseed, you hear about soy isoflavones, red clover. Why do those things seem to work for some women? Well, it's because they kind of look like hormones. And so when you take them into the body, they're kind of weakly fitting into the receptor, kind of loosely and weakly, but enough to have some moderate activity. Now, for a woman where activation is not an issue, you're not really going to be impacting this, which is why you kind of see mixed results when it comes to things like phytoestrogens, because it's not activation. It might actually be synthesis that she needs to focus on or transport. Then the other two are metabolism. This gets to your question specifically, metabolism, because all hormones are, once they act in the cell, then they go on to be metabolized. Well, how do they do that? They go on to the liver and ultimately they are excreted in the gut and we poop them out, we pee them out, we even sweat them out. But if we don't get to that end goal, we can have certain metabolites circulating in the blood, and then those can create some symptoms as well, especially in premenopausal women. Now, with Femmenessence, I'm just going to mention this because Femmenessence is enriched, it's concentrated in a certain class of phytochemicals called glucosinolates. Glucosinolates, for anybody who knows anything about detoxification, are classically used in order to help with metabolic detoxification. And a lot of that work has been done with broccoli, with cauliflower, with Brussels sprouts, with kale. That's why we hear, oh, you need to have more broccoli to help your hormones to balance better. And that's because of metabolism. Well, as it turns out, maca is a cousin of the brassica vegetables. And so what we know with Femmenessence is that it has a concentrated amount of these glucosinolates. So theoretically, it should also help with metabolism. There's some more exploration of that underway. We can't say that for sure, but because it's enriched in glucosinolates, which would be helpful for detoxification, that's something to be looking at, that we may actually be getting not just the synthesis, but also helping with the metabolism. And then, of course, excretion, right? Fiber. Fiber.
Yep.
In fact, I just posted in my Facebook group this morning, should fiber be an essential nutrient? It's not. It's not listed as an essential nutrient. Should it be? I think it should be because fiber and all the many kinds of fiber can change the gut microbiome. If we
Mhm.
change the gut microbiome, we can be changing hormones. In fact, I also just posted yesterday on LinkedIn that microplastics that are found in things like if we go out to a restaurant and we just get plasticware or the slick, you know, servingware from plates when we're eating out, especially fast food, that these endocrine disruptors can change the gut microbiome and can further change it to modify how we would normally metabolize hormones. So it's almost like, so many things for us to be thinking about. I think we start small and continue into that journey, right? You can only start where you are. And even one small change, like taking Femmenessence, like reducing the amount of plastic, these can have substantial effects and make us feel back to where we were before, right? It's just that sometimes we can't see out of it because there's so much hormone noise, whether it's the endocrine disruptor noise, the circadian dysregulation noise, maybe the stress of our lives. So we can't clear it all away to kind of get that clarity. But yeah, I'm glad that you asked about the detoxification because it's an important piece of hormones and it's under recognized. And a lot of practitioners don't even think about it. Again, there's so much focus on front loading the body with hormones and not like, how do we make sure that those hormones move out of the body in a
Right.
way
Like
that is
preparing the
beneficial?
body,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And
Preparing the vessel for what's
well,
coming.
and
Yeah.
also it has a very practical real-time effect. Like it affects hot flashes and it affects mood changes and it affects weight gain and all those things. So yeah, all those things I struggle with right now. And lately I have been craving broccoli. Is that not the weirdest thing? Isn't that
Oh,
strange?
wow.
I don't even know. I'm like, ooh, broccoli, yay!
Your body is letting you know exactly what you need, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Hmm.
Yeah. So we were talking about hormone therapy, and so many women think they want to know, should they choose between HRT and natural products? What is the integrative model that you recommend that women follow?
So I think you have to start with the foundation. In functional medicine, we have what's called a functional medicine matrix. And at the base of the matrix, we talk about personalized lifestyle factors, things like nutrition and exercise, relaxation, healthy sleep, also like the balance of all of those things, right? So, like, I think if women just dive into HRT without looking at things like
Yeah.
circadian rhythm, breathing, their balance of their nervous system, it's almost like pouring gas on a fire. It just feels like it could be a little too much. Now, would it help a woman to kind of make some headway into that if she did something like Femmenessence first to give her a little bit more balance? Yeah, I think that that is a more favorable sequence without bringing something strong like exogenous hormones, right? Because we want to be sure that the body is fit to take in those hormones and to do the best things with those hormones. So whenever I lecture on perimenopause or even postmenopause, I kind of sequence everybody through first making sure that your nutrition and your lifestyle, as much as possible, are accounted for to the best of your ability. And within nutrition and lifestyle, I would even say start with circadian rhythm. Everything in our body, including hormones, follows time. Time directs all of us. That circadian rhythm is so important. So if she is a woman who is not getting bright morning light in the morning to increase her cortisol, to increase
Yeah.
her testosterone, if she into the nighttime starts to go on her devices, she's filling her eyes with artificial blue light. Now we don't have proper melatonin. So if you don't have cortisol in the morning, melatonin at night, these are like hormonal bookends. And within that, you start to get your estrogen, your progesterone, your thyroid hormone, your growth hormone. I mean, all of these different hormones, they're all a web. They are primarily fixed through that cortisol, melatonin, morning and night rhythm. So if she has that disturbed in some way, let's just say she's doing shift work, not great. There are ways to kind of override that. But ladies, I want you to be thinking about get your light right. It's so important to do that before you start doing everything else. Time directs everything else. It goes time, endocrine system, hormones, metabolism. You want to lose weight, you got to back it on up and you got to start with the lifestyle, right? So when
Mhm.
your light is right and you're not darkness deficient, you're going to be sleeping better, you're going to be repairing the body better, you're going to be in a more fit state to receive any kind of hormones. From that point of circadian rhythm and lifestyle, I would say then to start moving into looking at nutrition, getting enough protein, getting the healthy varieties of fats and oils, getting proper levels of fiber. We have to set that macronutrient groundwork to be sure that whatever, again, we're bringing in, that we have proper fuel. And I'd like to get to the question of energy when we kind of like finish this because I think it's such a big thing. So we get our macros right. We start looking at maybe we get a laboratory test to find out, are we low in zinc? Are we low in magnesium? Are we low in iron? Is that leading to
Mhm.
low energy? Because with women losing potentially more blood or having dysregulation of their menstrual
Mhm.
period, what can happen is that they start to have iron issues. And then, it could actually be just iron deficiency anemia. Or is it adrenal dysregulation, right? Or is she just over caffeinated and depleting and changing her
Yeah.
cortisol that way? And then I think, again, bringing in Femmenessence to stimulate and I would say nourish the hypothalamus, the pituitary, the thyroid, adrenal, ovarian axis. This is a way to nourish and regulate. In functional medicine, we call this communication, reestablishing the biofeedback and the communication in the body. And then at the end, the tippy top, if we need to dial in with HRT to do that. I actually did this myself. I mean, I've actually been through it and I've also helped other people to do this. What I think, you have to personalize it, right? I'm giving like a general framework and guidelines for women to be thinking about. And if they can't do it on their own, best to have a coach, best to have a practitioner, actually best to have a whole health team
Yeah.
because each person can kind of help them along, right? So that's kind of how I would see it. Nutrition and lifestyle, making sure you get your circadian rhythm right, your light right, moving into the proper macros, the micros, the phytonutrients, moving into Femmenessence, and then capping it off with any kind of HRT. And maybe if you've done everything else, then you're not going to need as much potentially of that HRT.
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
Well,
For those women out there, well, there are many women who are still afraid to do the HRT, right? Or there are
right.
those that can't.
Yeah.
So I love to hear that there's options for them, and I hope that they will look into Femmenessence because so many women that I have referred to Symphony Natural Health have gotten such relief and so much help. And several of them have gone just because of their libido and found such great help with that. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that is an important part of you
Yeah.
as a full
Oh
functioning
yeah. Yeah.
woman. Yeah.
that's right. I mean, sexual health is something that many
Hmm.
times women don't even start to look at until they are in their 50s or 60s. And it's like, oh, wait a
Hmm.
minute, what happened to my libido? What happened to my testosterone? And
Hmm.
it's
What
not
happened to my moisture?
Yeah.
moisture, that's right. Or my collagen, my skin, you start to just even genito urinary syndrome, GUS, right? Like urination, like a lot of those, I would say the connective tissue, even her teeth and gums start to change during
Mm.
menopause, right?
I
So
heard
the
that so many
microbiome
women,
changes.
I never even put it together that I lost two teeth because of bone, what is it called?
Resorption.
Absorption. Yeah. And I didn't know that that was a symptom of going through postmenopause. And then I heard from other women, and then I started looking into it,
Hmm.
and I was surprised.
Yeah, it happened to
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
mother too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yes, absolutely. For women who have issues with their bones, or at least, they look at their family history, these tend to be women that are a little bit more petite or they're a little bit slight in
Yes.
their structural frame. And so, what we see, at least I can also tell you with Femmenessence, because one of the studies actually looked at total bone density. And for the women that were on Femmenessence, within just that short period of time of 4 months, the bone density started to increase. And the group that did not get Femmenessence, they lost more bone. And
Mhm.
we can say, well, is that because it's supporting estrogen, which helps to reduce bone loss? That would seem to be
Yeah.
the mechanism. But we also know that Femmenessence can help with the gastrointestinal absorption of things like calcium and iron.
Hmm.
So there's something more here. And we even get reports of women having better hair, skin, and nails when they take Femmenessence. So I think something is happening there with minerals, which is supportive of bone. And
Hmm.
you're also supporting the bone through supporting estrogen levels. So I think it's kind of like a two-prong approach there. But women don't wake up to their bone health usually until it's later in life. And
Yeah.
our bone mineral density is formed earlier in life. So even for people like my niece who's 12 and she's into gymnastics and all these things, I'm like, definitely focus on that physical activity. It is so important to build your bone because it's almost like a bank account. It's like a bone bank account. Like in your teens, your 20s, and into your 30s a bit, basically you start to maximize your bone mineral density. From there, you're working off that account. So if you're not repleting or if you have more inflammation, you start to lose that bone bank account, start to go down because there is that gut bone connection. So if you've got inflammation in the gut,
Mhm.
this can translate systemically. So, ladies, this is like when I go to parties, like a lot of my friends are older. I'm 55, and a lot of my friends are actually in their 60s and 70s. And it's kind of funny the way that works. But anyway, I like to be around older, wiser women than myself. So I think that's what happens. But in those conversations, what I notice is that there is a through line of they're all talking about their bones. They're not talking about their libido. They are not talking about even their skin and how they look. At this point, they just don't want to fall. They don't
Mhm.
want to fracture. They don't want to lose their function. They don't want to lose their independence. There's a real fear. And
Yeah.
then they kind of, I remember one gathering that we were all huddled in the kitchen talking about this. And it was like, what do I do? Do I go on a pharmaceutical? Is it safe to start taking HRT? And so that's where I got on my Femmenessence soapbox. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Here's one thing that you can start to bring in that can help to start to shift your hormone levels in a favorable way for bone and potentially change your minerals and other things as well. That's like one thing you can start doing in addition to everything else, like getting more protein in your diet, to having more physical activity. And a lot of these women, they didn't work out, right? So that's why, I look at people like JJ Virgin, who does such a great job in terms of teaching women over 50 who have never exercised how to get intermittent activity through the day. Because it's not just going to the gym, it's not just getting on a treadmill and sweating. It's like you need to move throughout the day. My
Yeah.
dad, my dad has this great line, and I think he took it from a movie, and I don't know which movie, but he just said, when you stop moving, you start dying. Like the body gets this the sign and the information that it's not needed to function, right? So like we always need to move, even subtle movements. And like we should never be at a computer for longer than like 45 to 50 minutes. We need to
Mhm.
be like up and at 'em, go to the restroom, go do the dishes, go talk to people, go take a short walk. I mean, we have made our lives way too sedentary, and this has not been good for our bones. So,
Mm.
but the bones are dynamic. I never want us to think that, oh, wow, it's a done deal. It's not. Like the bones are incredibly dynamic, and people have reversed their bone mineral density from being
Mhm.
osteopenic to not. And you hear all I used to have a yoga teacher who had osteoporosis and started doing yoga. And, she told us about her whole process and journey and getting healthy bones again. So,
Yeah,
long
that was
story,
me.
that was
Yeah.
I
you?
I
Oh,
had I had osteoporosis, and actually I think what helped me, I got a vibration plate, and
yes.
I actually have it in my office, so I'll get
Perfect.
up and jump on that. And
Yep.
K2 has helped, several supplements, and Gerald Steiner mineral water was awesome. But so I did like
Perfect.
a lot of things, and I reversed it. So I still have osteopenia, but I did have osteoporosis. So now I'm working in the right direction. Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That's a whole lot
Yeah.
better,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Than
yeah.
and I think it's relatively normal that we're going to have some bone loss over time. So it's
Hmm.
not like, we can just do the best with where we're at with everything else. We don't want to
Right.
stress because
Yeah.
stress and cortisol wears on the bone, right? So it's like let's just keep it all in perspective, make those small steps, get a health coach, which I think is so important to kind of keep on track. I mean, even something
Accountability. Yeah.
like the three of us, like we know this stuff. It just sometimes helps to have like somebody keep you accountable, check in with you, care about you. I just think, it's not just having the information, it's being able to put it into action.
Yeah,
And
for
when we
sure.
feel better, we do better.
I was actually, when you were talking about your niece and younger girls, younger women, wouldn't it be wonderful? Because I call it the second talk, that we should give our young girls the second talk. They get the puberty talk, they should get the menopause talk, but they should have that as part of their health classes, at a young age when they, what is it, middle school, high school, they should be learning about that phase of life then so that they can prepare for it. And exactly what you said, keep those bones strong. Let's
Hmm.
get all the
Get
crap
some
out of your life.
exercise.
Yeah, get the
Yeah,
crap out of your life.
right. So
Yeah.
Yes.
I do
Yeah.
have a quick question. I want to circle back to you talking about energy levels because and Lorraine knows me. I mean, we've traveled together, and I am the tech person, and I will routinely stay up until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning working on episodes and doing whatever. I know,
Oh,
scandal. It's a
Yeah.
scandal.
I'm working on her.
I think
It's
you know the answer to your question.
it's rough. I'm working on it. I'm working on it, but I do these things because I enjoy them. And so my energy levels, I'm now postmenopausal. I actually went through menopause, perimenopause, and menopause early. I was done by 48.
Oh,
So for me, it's been a little bit more of a strange kind of, my mother was the same way, and so was my sister.
yeah.
But it's been a very strange journey for me because some people are like, well, I'm in perimenopause. I'm like, I zoomed right past that. So, but my energy levels, that's probably right now, I'm really feeling a lot better. That's like my point where I'm struggling with that.
So do you have a pair of these?
No, rose-colored glasses, fantastic.
These are what's called blue light blocking glasses. And
Okay.
if you are a tech person where you've got to be on screens at night or your job makes you, for some reason, you're doing shift work. I know it sounds like you love what you're doing, but you also need the energy to do what you want to do, right?
Yes,
So, blue light blocking glasses, when you wear them as it starts to get dim, when you're on technology, by the way, you can turn down the light on your screen
which I
when you
do.
not see.
Yeah, I
Okay,
do.
so that's good,
Yeah.
but that doesn't take away the blue light that you're still getting through your eyes. When you wear glasses like these, it helps to reduce the input of blue light because right now I'm seeing you as like an orange red, like everything on my screen is orange red. This is the color. We need to mirror what we see throughout the day. So when it first, the sun comes up, we get this bright light, depending on where we live. But that's what we need to see because that brings up our cortisol, that makes our melatonin go down. As we move our way through the day, we can start to see that we move from blue into like a reddish, right? Like the sun starts to set, gets kind of pinkish in the sky. That's actually what we need to be seeing. That's going to set the stage for proper melatonin to start to come up and to start to put you into bedtime. And that will also lead to greater repair and just overall rejuvenation. But if your eyes are
Interesting.
always seeing blue because you're looking at your phone or you're looking at the screen, you don't get that melatonin signal. And
Yeah.
that's a problem. Longer term, that is a problem because melatonin goes down with age. So by the time we're in our 50s, we're only making about a tenth of what we had as a teen when we had like some of the higher levels. So melatonin is important for the brain. You're concerned about detoxification. We know that at night, our brain has to empty itself out of a lot of these toxic metabolites. Like the brain has to relax. We can't do that without having that proper melatonin signal and setting that circadian rhythm. So think of your brain. It needs a rest. That
Okay.
1 to 2 a.m. time is actually when melatonin should be peaking. You need to be in that rest state because that's when a lot of your repair systems set in. So you may be just chipping away at your ability to repair. But if you get the blue light blocking glasses, and you also help your body by taking some low level amounts of melatonin, which actually Symphony Natural Health has a plant-based melatonin called herbatonin.
I take it every
Herbit,
evening.
Perfect. There's
herbatonin,
that. Um,
herbatonin.
And I
but
actually do it for bone health too. It's linked to
yes,
better bone
yes.
health. Yes.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, gosh, melatonin has so many wonderful effects, and you see biohackers talking about it because they understand the role that it has in a lot of the processes relative to aging, whether it's ovarian decline or antioxidant activity, reducing inflammation, helping the mitochondria. I mean, melatonin is is an amazing molecule. It's everywhere in our bodies. It can go into the liquid portions, it can go into the fat. It's so unique. It is, I think, one of the most unique molecules in nature. It's in plants, it's in plant foods. It has more or less evolved with us as humans through the mitochondria to help us with preventing a lot of the damage that happens with mitochondrial respiration in order to get energy. So anyway, it sounds like what you need there is, get your light right, honor the darkness, wear the blue light blocking glasses, take the herbatonin, as much as you can, rewire yourself. Try to move your schedule back. And it can be done. You could say, well, I'm kind of a night owl. That's when I have a lot of my time and my creative activity. But you know
True.
what? Women tend to be morning types more than men. And we tend to go to bed earlier and rise earlier. And so we really want to be attentive to that circadian rhythm. We don't want to flatten the curve. This is
Mm.
important for healthy aging. It's important for hormones. So if you're experiencing a low energy slump or a decline, what I would say, if you were my client, I'm going to take you right back into like, what do you do every hour of the day? Where can we optimize? Where can we start changing things so that you get your light right? And these are band-aids, right? This is imperfect,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's a way to try to override the system. It's not the best, but it's going to help us. And there are studies on blue light blocking glasses and helping with things like blood sugar and you got to wear them at the right time. You got to get the right glasses. There are all these like little itty bitty nuance points, but nature, we need to follow our nature. And all this electricity, the fields that electricity generate, the blue light, it's very aging. It's aging to the skin, it's aging to our body systems, like overall. I can go on and on, but essentially, if you're losing energy, you got to ask, where did I give too much energy throughout the course of that day and I lost it later as a result?
Something to think
Sorry if
about.
that's like a
Okay, Joy.
sour,
Yeah.
heavy
Look,
message.
Lorraine's pointing her finger at me, and I can feel it.
We'll work on you, Joy.
Oh, I know.
I'm
I
going to
can
set it
hardly
next
wait.
time we're on
You
a
can
trip,
do
I'll set
it.
an alarm.
Oh, that's great.
But the
Yeah.
alarm's going to be to go to bed, not to get
You can definitely do it. It's just a matter of just look at the course of your day and when you can shift things around.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, just wear the glass. I actually have two pair of glasses. I have one with this is like a lighter, it just kind of prevents like from a daily perspective, but these are for like truly like when it's darker outside, when the red is in the environment, I need to be wearing these.
Okay.
Just follow the light. So you're going to have to change that seasonally.
Do you have a certain brand you recommend?
I did ask around for like, which company has actually measured whether or not, what are the wavelengths? These are RA optics, raw optics. They're not
Okay.
cheap. There are, I think that these were maybe like 150, 175, but I bring them with me when I travel. Ironically, you go on planes, right? And I like to take like nighttime or early morning flights when you don't have all the solar radiation, because you get a lot of radiation on a flight. But I wear them like, because usually on a plane at night, you see the blue light because they think I'm relaxing. We're relaxing people on the flight, but actually, you don't want blue light at night.
Right.
So
You're right.
either I have to wear a sleep mask, eye mask, or I have to wear my blue light blocking glasses.
Well, thank you. I'm getting a pair.
And if
Same,
people
same. Me too.
listening are thinking, I can't afford that, wearing again, just turning down the light a bit. If you have dimmers in your home, or you can change out certain light bulbs to make them a little bit more red. So my husband likes a lot of the tech stuff. So we have Philips Hue bulbs in our home where you can make them red at night and like light yellow or bluish in the day.
Oh,
So you can buy
Wow.
different light bulbs. And, the biggest place is your sleeping room. Should be totally dark,
hmm.
right? You do not want light there. And one thing that people don't realize is like they don't measure light, and you need to measure your light. There's a great app where you go to it. It's called Light Meter Lux. I'm just going to show you ladies this really quick because I think that this is one of those tools. Um, all right, so basically, it's really simple. You have it uses the camera, you point it at the light, and on the other side, it will tell you what the lux is. Lux is a measure of light. One lux is equal to a candle flame like 3 feet away. So you want under one lux in your bedroom at night. So, like, do you know who Dr. Terry Walls is?
Hmm.
Yeah, so I was talking with her about this, and she said, "Well, Deanna, I need a little bit of light in my room because, she feels unstable if she has to get up to use the
Yeah.
restroom. Having a night light very low, enough so that you can see where you're walking, but not enough that you're impacting your eyes where it's over one lux." And it's doable. I've actually tested it with the app to be sure. And sometimes, I mean, I'm at 0 lux in my bedroom. Even though I have the smoke alarm light, I can still see that it still comes under that one lux. So it's definitely doable. But if you don't measure it, then you don't know. You really
Okay.
need to measure.
Okay.
So, and it's a free app, and there are a bunch of them these days, but the one
Hmm.
I use is Light Meter Lux. And like I even work in front of a window. That's informing my eyes with more photons, more light during the day, which is a good thing because we have flipped light on its head where we have less light during the day and we have more light at night. We go to sporting
Yeah.
events, we go to the gym at night, we go to the grocery store at night. All of that is toxic, endocrine disrupting blue light. So we need to
Okay.
flip it back on its head and have more luminosity during the day.
Good to know. Okay, I'm working on it.
I think
I'm going to
Dr.
work on
Minnick,
it.
I think she needs to check up on you, Joy.
She's thinking, oh, I'm never going to be her client.
How am I going to hide my light at night?
Just remember it. Get your light right. If you
That's
get your
right.
light right, so many things fall into place. But
Nice.
for many people, it's ironically very difficult to
Yeah,
do.
I've seen coaches online just doing specifically coaching about light
Yep. Yep.
and have changed women's lives just by changing their light. Yeah.
Actually, we had a bunch of the FMCA coaches. We did a circadian challenge just with the time change when people are a little bit more susceptible to that time shift. Even 1 hour of a shift makes a huge difference to your circadian rhythm, right?
Yeah.
So that's what those coaches were doing. They were helping with when do you take melatonin to prime that better? How can you do, it's just like light and dark hygiene.
Hmm.
And we can actually save money by not having so much electricity at night. Let's just turn the lights off, right? It's
Yeah.
just so important. It's important for children too to have that signal because so many
Yeah.
kids are on devices at night. It's so
Oh, yeah,
unhealthy.
Yeah.
And you
that's
were
true.
talking about getting teens informed earlier. I'm very concerned about the younger generations and their exposure to blue light and the health of their eyes. I mean, we don't often see the eyes as an extension of the brain, but they are. And so kids wearing glasses earlier, people getting macular degeneration and cataracts earlier.
Oh,
This is the
yeah.
signal, right? So
Hmm.
just tend to your eyes.
That's good advice. Good advice. They
Mhm.
have to
Good
add that
friend.
into that health class.
Yeah, for
Yes,
sure.
they
Good.
do. They should do the whole
Yes.
body, as a matter of
Yes.
fact.
Yeah.
Well, they should add some other things in there too, like how to regulate your emotions and different things, but
Yeah.
I could go on and on about that.
Um,
Somebody listening will take that forward,
yeah.
and really put that in motion. I know that there are some people like Dr. Medea Saeed and other people where they're really championing like food for children, but we really, like you're saying, Joy, we do need to have like lifestyle for kids, like
Oh,
Hmm.
for
the basics.
sure.
They're
Yeah.
falling out of it because the whole culture has fallen out of it.
Yeah.
And you think about that, you don't teach that kind of stability at a young age. And so, you go out in the world and you can't, that's a skill that you can't actually perform.
Hmm.
And that's not a good thing either. Okay, I could go on about that.
I love where this conversation is moving. We've been everywhere.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so I'm going to bring it back in.
Okay.
Just because I know that ladies out there, I get a lot of questions about this. So, what types of testing, you touched on this a little bit, if any, do you find would be helpful for women as far as their hormones and their hormone health and their transitions through menopause?
So this is where you do need to bring in a practitioner, right? I can make some recommendations here, but a practitioner is going to know how to translate those labs into actions. So I don't want to, again, act as anybody's practitioner here, but I
Yeah.
do think that getting some of the basics would be a really good thing to do. So starting to look at blood sugar, and because blood sugar is connected to cortisol and connected to insulin, I kind of see it like a triangle. So, and we kind of get, especially through perimenopause and menopause, we kind of get what I call the glucose creep, where slowly that blood glucose, the fasting blood sugar starts to go up. We're not diabetic, we're not even pre-diabetic, but every time we go in, it starts to go up. So you want to make sure you're looking at that hemoglobin A1C if you can. And all of the immune markers would be good too, because as a woman loses her estrogen, what can start to happen is she starts to get a different immune profile, changes in her white blood cells, changes in even her auto antibodies, right? So you can start to see elevations there. So you got to keep that in check. When you lose estrogen, immune inflammatory imbalance can be a little bit closer to the surface. So you just have to watch that. So I think that's important. Some of the liver enzymes would be important. ALT, AST, GGT. GGT is an additional liver function test, but it's a great marker for kind of assessing glutathione as well as looking at even exposure to environmental contaminants like persistent organic pollutants. So that can be brought in. I think getting some of the nutrient levels would be important. So looking at red blood cell levels of magnesium or zinc, iron, kind of doing that whole composite can really inform us as to supplementation. Here's another one that I think is good, and everybody can do this just even on their own. Their omega-3 index. The omega-3 index, what it is it's just even a dry blood spot. You put it on a piece of paper, you dry it, you send it into the company. They're going to give you what percentage of your blood cells are EPA and DHA, which are the two major omega-3 fatty acids. Most
Mhm.
people, even when they supplement, they're way too low. There was a statistic that still 85% of the world's population is still too low in omega-3s. And I have seen
Mhm.
this clinically, people taking omega-3 supplements and still falling short. So I get mine tested on an annual basis to be sure that my supplement level, what I'm taking on a daily basis, is adequate, right? Because some people feel they don't feel supplements like maybe fish oil. So you need to dial it in through a lab so that you know that you're tracking properly. For menopausal women, postmenopausal women, they may need a little bit more. We don't have the solid science on it, but you can start to see that there's a little bit of some emerging work suggesting that we need to go beyond 8%, perhaps a little bit higher into 10 to 12%. So get your omega-3 level tested. I personally, I have no affiliation, but I do personally look at function health.
I
I
do.
do think, do
I
you as
do it.
well?
I have my next one scheduled for in February. Yeah.
Wonderful. I just did mine at beginning of January. I like to do because my birthday's in December, so it's like I want to just like do my calendar, birthday month,
Yeah.
and like where I'm at. So I think so why do I even say function? It's a low price point for 2 labs per year, and I have tried to actually do it through my own insurance system, and I cannot get to that price point because it's me asking for those labs, not a doctor saying,
Right.
Right.
oh, I need to prescribe and make sure, or I order you these tests because you have an indication. I don't have an indication. And
Yeah.
so
And it's over 100 tests that
it's
they
like
do,
a
right? Mark
hundred and
100
forty
markers.
biomarkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
going to get hormones. You're going to
Hmm.
get your blood levels. You won't get your urine levels. Urine levels of hormones tell us other things, especially
Hmm.
about metabolism, but you will get your serum levels. You'll also get things like sex hormone binding globulin, which tells us a little bit about the transport portion of hormones and how things are being moved around. I just think it's a savvy way to just get everything all at once. And then if you need something more based on what you see, your practitioner again can go deeper. You can actually
Hmm.
bring your function health tests to your practitioner. You can
Yeah.
download the labs and bring them in. You can show them the dashboard that you have, which is all really well done
Yeah.
chronologically. You can get your biological age versus your chronological age. Because even though I'm 55, thankfully I'm biologically younger. Otherwise, I'm doing
I
something wrong.
am. I
So
know.
that for me is always the incentive. Like, how
Yeah.
young can I get this time?
You're
So,
right.
but anyway, I mean, the more you know about yourself, and I think too, if you have a practitioner who is well skilled in genetics, a really smart thing to do is to get your genetic test. You only have to do it once. And I like 3x4 genetics because 3x4 uses polygenic risk scores. They don't just look at one gene variant, they kind of look at a bunch of them together and they put it together in a very actionable way. And they only measure gene variants that you can do something about. Like if I have a autosomal recessive gene for some obscure condition, do I really want to know that?
Right.
Well,
So,
maybe, but right now I need to know what's actionable. Like, how are my neurotransmitters? How is my detoxification? How is my methylation? And it kind of chunks it out in a really easy to use way. So I would do that
yeah.
ultimately.
Yeah. Great information. And you've given me some new information too.
I know. Just sitting
Good.
here like,
Yeah.
wow, I got to
Yeah.
think about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to think about it. Yeah.
But let's just back up to something I said earlier, right? Because if a woman, let's just say she is going in for her labs, but she's not seeing changes, but she feels off, we do need to acknowledge that because some
Hmm.
practitioners, they lean heavy into symptoms more than they do into labs. Personally, I think we need to look at both. I think, a lab is one snapshot in time, whereas, symptoms might be dragging on and,
Hmm.
it's been estimated that an autoimmune condition presents 7 to 14 years before the onset of that condition. 7 to 14 years before. So if we were doing those autoantibodies way back when we were 35, we could have maybe course corrected so that
Yeah.
we didn't get the onset of an autoimmune disease, right? It's so important to do this stuff early and to track them. Keep your labs because you are your best baseline, not somebody
Hmm.
off in like, Arkansas and, this person, labs, when you see a range, this reflects the average of all the people being tested.
Right.
Is the average healthy? It's not
Right.
healthy. That's why in functional medicine, we have different ranges that we use. They're much more narrow, they're much more specific. So that's another thing that Function Health I like does. They use functional medicine ranges and not kind of the global ranges.
Yeah. And they actually look at your results and give you protocols to follow too that you can then take to your doctors as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think those are okay. Those are a good starting place, but I still
Yeah.
think working with a practitioner or health coach or
Oh
somebody
yeah.
else more informed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't lean so much on those based on what I mean, they're good. It's nice to have that and it feels complete. Um, but yeah, I just think for the price point, what people get, because we need to bring in the discussion of cost.
Yeah. And
You know,
I sent it to, I went for my physical and she was going to send me for blood work. I said, well, just about a month ago, I had this done. She goes, oh, so just drop it in so I did. And she looked at everything. She goes, okay, you're good. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to any other tests.
But
and you know
cost is
what?
So
definitely a factor. Cost is a huge
yeah,
factor there.
It's a huge
Yes.
yes.
factor. And you know what? Somebody had asked me, could I apply my Function Health spending to my deductible for my insurance? And I did. So keep in
Okay.
mind that, and I
Yeah.
think if you go on the Function site, I'm not sure
I
about,
think you can use an HSA,
you can
right?
use an HSA, a flexible health savings account, all of that. But even my own insurance that I pay monthly, I can have my Function Health put towards my deductible, which is
Oh,
actually quite high. So check that out. It might be insurance dependent.
yeah. I'm on
Yeah, but
Medicare,
but
so
I'm able to do it. So check it out just
yeah.
in case.
Yeah. Good advice. Good advice.
I really feel like there's so much more we could talk about.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, there is. We should probably do a part two, and we can come on to talk about something more specific. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that this gives a well-rounded exploration into women's health, really getting into like why Femmenessence, like making a case for that, right? It's the
Mhm.
sweet spot, it's the first line approach to really getting your endocrine system more optimized because so many women are just working off of less than optimal endocrine functioning,
Yes.
like their adrenals, their thyroid gland, their brain is not even like sharp, where like it's
Yeah.
sending those signals and being received. So I think it's good that we spend some time on that. We spend some time,
Yeah. Can
talking
I,
a little bit about
I just,
nutrition.
yeah, I wanted to address the feminescence and the maca in particular, talking about maca. So when I mentioned feminescence to some women and they said, well, what is it? And I said, it's a blend, a certain blend of maca. They just went and bought maca. And so I said, no, there's a specific amount that they use, kinds that they
It's like a
use.
proprietary blend,
Yes,
right?
a blend. Yeah. So can you
Yes.
just touch a little bit on that and the difference between that and just going out and buying a bottle of maca?
Not all maca is created equal. It's when you go to the grocery store and you just buy a big bag of maca, you have no idea what you're getting. There have been up to 17 different maca phenotypes identified, different colors, and each of these different phenotypes have different phytochemicals, they have different DNA, they have different functions. So, in other words, there are certain types of maca that are better for women and others that are better for men. There are some that have better benefits for things like bone health, and then others that have no effect on bone health. There are some that have benefits for things like lipids, and then others that don't do that. So, what you're looking for is the function of the different maca phenotype for what your need state is. And that is part of the, I would say, the intelligence of feminescence, that a lot of the growing of the maca, whether the seed selection, the elevation, where it's grown in Peru, the soil, the microbes, the drying of it, the packaging, even. Because, if you buy a big tote of powder, like maca powder, it's just going to oxidize. You keep opening it up, oxygen gets in, and some of those actives are susceptible to oxidation, which is why the feminescence is even in a blister pack and individually packaged, right? So you take one out at a time. It's not like a jar
Ah.
where you open it and the oxygen goes in and then it starts to degrade. I always get upset with my husband because we have a vitamin C and he leaves the top a little bit open, and I'm like, no, you're not going to have any activity by the end of that vitamin C. So I love that Symphony Natural Health actually thought about that. They are vertically integrated so that they actually grow the maca in different places of Peru in order to get the proper functional activity. From there, they go on to do what's called gelatinization, which is the proper blend of temperature, pressure, and water in order to have the maca in a certain format so that the actives are bioavailable. Because most of the maca, again, on the shelves, whether it's an herb or a tincture or a powder, it's not all specified what they actually did to it, right? So with
It's
feminescence, we know everything about it. We know that it is gelatinized, it is organically grown according to traditional methods in Peru, which is its native origin and country. It has been tested through preclinical and clinical studies looking at effects on hormones. So, yeah, I think it's a big deal to know that not all maca is created equal. That is a big message because on social media, you see people talking about maca, whether they're putting it in their smoothie or they're, using it in their cooking, but it's like, oh my goodness, you're like breaking down first of
yeah.
all, I don't even know what kind of maca that is. And the beauty of what Symphony did was they tested feminescence versus some of the maca extracts on the market, like some of the very concentrated extracts, and they found that feminescence outperformed a lot of these different extracts. So they found that feminescence had greater concentrations of glucosinolates and more varieties of those glucosinolates. So you've got to know your maca, because otherwise, what could happen is you can actually be taking a kind of maca that can create an untoward effect. Let me give you an example. If a woman just starts taking maca, she can experience an androgenic or a testosterone cortisol increasing effect to the point that she can get acne, hair loss, and back to our point about energy, it could really disrupt the energy balance. with Femmenessence, what we're targeting is not so much the adrenals. So she's not having that kind of that wired or even the testosterone androgen effects. She's getting more of the brain ovarian effects. So she's going to experience more of a balancing rather than an upregulation of systems where she wouldn't want to have that upregulation. This is about balance rather than only the stimulation. What we're looking for is to have the right amount of stimulation to create the balance, right? So, yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because I do get that question. Why can't I just take regular old maca? And
Yeah.
it's because you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're
Right.
actually taking. It's just like a garden variety of whatever's processed. So I've actually been to Peru myself, and I see like in their markets, they have large totes of red maca or black maca, yellow maca, and but still you don't even know how that was prepared. You don't know what actives
Yeah.
are in it. And
Yeah.
so again, that's really what drew me to Symphony was not just the fact that they were focused on women's health and hormones, but they knew so much about the plants. And I felt like, do you not realize that this is like really unheard of in the natural
It's
product
rare.
industry? It
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so rare. So being
Yeah.
vertically integrated, caring about the soil, caring about the people in Peru that are also working on those respective plots of land, I just feel like it's just so wholesome in so many ways. I mean, I feel like I can't say enough good things about it. I just
Yeah.
wish that the word would get out a bit more because I just feel like, again, it's one of those best kept secrets in the hormone space. And this is the time when we really need to get that out. I don't know if I told you
Yeah.
both, but I am featured in the M Factor 2, which is airing on PBS starting March 19th,
Is
2026.
that
Cool.
Isn't that
Tamsin?
cool?
Is
Yeah,
that
that's
yeah.
Tamsin Fidel and
Yeah.
Mary Claire Haber is in it, Kelly Casperson, a lot of like
Awesome.
the group that kind
That's
of has done the
great.
menopause speak, and they've done really well with the first M Factor. So yeah, so I'm part of that conversation talking about nutrition and lifestyle because one of the things I think that women missed out on with the first M Factor was kind of what we were talking about. What
Yeah.
else can you do other than HRT? Because not
Right.
every woman wants to go on HRT, and still less than 5% of women are on HRT. So they're obviously looking for other things. So
Yeah.
that's what the next M Factor is about. So in fact, I'm going
Oh,
to LA.
fantastic.
Yeah. So it
Well,
should
tell
be
Okay.
them
fun.
all we said hello.
I will. I'm actually going this Saturday to Los Angeles. There is the premiere showing of it, and so a lot of the like Tamsin Fidel and a lot of these other people will be there. So that'll be fun to see everyone.
Awesome. We'll have to put a link to it when because this
Hmm.
airs March 21st, I think. Is that what we said? I think
Oh,
it's March
We
perfect.
can,
21st.
Perfect.
we
So it's
can,
right after the M Factor 2 is available on PBS.
Okay.
we have,
Awesome.
we are the bosses, so we get to say when it
Yeah.
airs. So
And of course we will put links to your website, to
everything.
Symphony Natural Health, to everything.
And let me say this, we have both used it and had
Hmm.
good success with it.
Yeah.
And so this is not something that we're just randomly, no, we are users of it, have advised a lot of people in our, I know about it because of Lorraine. Yeah. You
Well, that
all
makes
should get
three
your
of
own
us.
good friend who's a health coach. Everyone should do it.
Actually, the product is perfect for health coaches because health coaches can't prescribe, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Right. So I've actually worked with Sandy Scheinbaum at Functional Medicine Coaching Academy and did some training and talked with them about Femmenessence. I feel like it's the perfect thing for nutritionists and health coaches,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. It
It really
is.
provides a solution.
Yeah. And the women love it. Everyone that I've referred to it. So
And just remember, the name can somehow, people trip up on the name, but if you can remember, like feminine essence,
right.
I love the name. I have grown to really connect to it. And again, I think of it in terms of color. The orange yellow one is for premenopausal women, the pink one is for peri, and the purple one is for post. Yes, I know you're wearing purple. Yes. That's great. So
Oh,
keep
awesome.
in mind the color, right? So like
Hmm.
wherever your life stage is, if you're in your purple time of life, you need the purple product, the post-menopause one.
Yeah.
Here is pink.
Perfect.
I love it.
Okay, but before we let you go, Joy has some questions to finish up with.
Okay.
Well, I could listen to you talk all day
I know,
long.
I know. Well, and actually, this is what I wanted to ask the ladies listening. We would love to have Dr. Minich come back on. So if you have a specific topic you would like to hear about, drop it in the comments, and we'll see what we can get when we can get you back on and have another conversation.
That'd
Oh
be
yeah.
great. We
Yeah,
could do a Q&A, whatever you want.
yeah,
This is my space. This is like my intellectual playground, so we can go anywhere.
yay, yay,
Well,
perfect.
I love it. And I love all
And Joy will
people.
you'll be getting better sleep by then, right, Joy?
We'll check in on you, Joy.
Oh, come on. Now I feel uncomfortable. I'm getting called to
No,
the
no, we
principal's
just want to
office.
support you.
I know it. I
Yes.
know. And I love people who have 10-pound brains. So, yes, that's good stuff right there. I love it because, all the sciencey stuff, my favorite number is 11D. So, yeah, that's not my area of expertise. And so when someone can speak about it in more of a lay, colloquial way, I'm like, oh, I'm all there. Okay. So, before we let you go, one of the things we like to do is when we're so lucky. We have so many wonderful women on our podcast. And whenever we have someone like you who has such a wealth of knowledge and such a life history and experience, we like to give you the opportunity to share that philosophy with the office. And so we do that by asking a few questions. And we
Okay,
don't prepare people.
good.
So
We
this is
didn't
not a
really
rapid
prepare
fire.
for this whole interview, so it's just more of the same.
Right. So let's start off with which is one of my personal favorite questions and really is relevant to the topic that we discussed today. If your 80-year-old self could whisper something to you right now, what would she say?
Start being healthy at a younger age. Sometimes when I'm asked this question, because I have been asked this question before, I say nothing because everything happened in the way that it needed to. But I think what's in my mind right now is what I'm thinking about with my niece and what we were talking about with the younger generations.
Mm.
And right now, my personal focus is my bones. So if I could have told my younger self, like when I'm 80, looking back, it's like, get your bones right. Like really do the best you can. Like if I take what I know now and just transplant it, I think I would have lived a different life. But what would I have done? I don't know. So I don't come from the place of regret when I say this. It's just more from I think about younger generations. I think about my niece. I think about all the teens of today. I just want them to be well equipped to go through menopause and actually to be looking forward to it. We should be
Right.
looking forward to this
Yeah,
time of life and not dreading
exactly.
it like so many women are. They
Exactly.
fear it. I don't want them to fear it.
No,
Right. Yeah.
it's a new
Ooh,
beginning.
Yeah.
that's a good one. All right.
Mhm.
Number 2. What is your midlife superpower? The thing you never thought you'd be good at?
Making science colorful and artful. So I think for
Yeah.
me as a nerdy scientist, it's not just about like the facts. You got to make the facts connected to something that inspires people. And I love art. Like in some of the most challenging times of my life, I reverted to painting, I reverted to color, and I feel like I could have never predicted that one. Like connecting science with art, with color, with inspiration, because it's kind of like bringing together like the full-on approach of like just what you said, Joy, in terms of like making the science easy to understand, but I want to go beyond that. I want you to be inspired. I want you to be like fired up and like, oh my gosh, I love this. Like it shouldn't just be, oh, I have to do this. It's another thing I have to do. It's like, no, I want to do this. So I think color and art coupled with science is something that, yeah, that's me. That's what I
Oh,
bring
I
to
love
the
that.
table of life and helping people.
That's why story is important
Yeah.
because it
Story
takes
is
those very
extremely
simple,
important.
basic
Hmm.
facts and it turns them into that's what we're trying to do here. It takes this information and it turns it into something that is more accessible to people and more enjoyable and more, just
Yeah.
Hmm.
in every possible way. I love that. That's very good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3. What's something you've stopped apologizing for?
Speaking my truth. I grew up in the Midwest. I'm from Chicago. I come from a family where it's like, people pleasers and, you wait at a stop sign. No, you go. And, it's like this kind of plight of being polite. And so I think for myself, coming into my 40s, I remember my mom even saying, she said, after a while, Deanna, you won't care so much what other people are thinking. And I kind of feel like that kind of happens as a result of menopause and being now postmenopausal. It's not like I speak my truth without discernment. I'm just like blurting stuff out, but it's like sometimes things need to be said. Sometimes it's okay to disagree. It's the manner in which we do it. So I think communication and how I communicate, being less silent, and I think I hear that from other women who are my age. It's kind of like, yeah, things are different now. I want to
Mhm.
live life in the way that nourishes me rather than feeling like I've always like I'm just stressed or like I've got to do everything. I'm much better at saying no to things. So it's about speaking my voice, speaking more of my truth, and being fully authentic in where I'm at.
Well, thank you.
I
I can
love
still
it.
improve.
Yeah,
I'm not perfect in that.
Well,
we all
It's
could.
a work
yes.
in progress. I definitely feel, I call this like the upper birth canal. So in our early lives, like 20s and 30s, it was like down there, right? Our birth canal, our physical birth canal. I think as we move into our older years, this becomes much more important. It's like our upper birth canal, and it's like the heart is like the uterus now. It's like our passions birth through our voice, how we speak and being really intentional and conscious of that communication, being compassionate about what comes out.
Mhm.
I think that's the finesse of the communication. Because I think when people go through menopause, sometimes they're not used to this and then they start blurting things out. They get angry. They haven't exercised this canal
Mm.
Mhm.
in the same way, and it needs a little bit of finessing and movement. And then finally, when she's in more of that authentic, grounded state of power, it comes out in a more measured way. You look at RBG, you look at some of these women where you look at them, you feel them, and it's like they arrived. They have really come into their own sense of power. And it's conscious, right? It's not just
Mhm.
power for the sake of power. It's like a spiritual wisdom.
And it goes along with that postmenopausal zest, right?
That's us, Lorraine. That's us.
Yeah.
I like that word zest.
That's right.
Well, we want to thank you so much for being here, Dr. Minich. This has
So
been so,
good.
so
So good.
inspirational, informational, fun,
It's great.
and we really do hope that you come back and share some more with us in the future.
Would love it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Anytime.
and
Yes.
I
Thanks,
cannot
ladies.
wait to see the M Factor too,
Oh, yeah.
with
Oh,
all
yeah.
the holistic part of menopause, right?
That's going to be
Yes.
Yeah,
interesting. Yes. We'll
yeah,
put links to everything in the show notes for sure. And don't forget, for those of you who have been listening and supporting us, we appreciate it. Go check out the extended version of this episode on our YouTube channel. And make sure to give this episode a like, a share, send it to all your girlfriends because this is very good and very
yes,
important information. This
yes,
will help you live your best, healthiest, happiest life.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you both.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. And we will see you all in the next one. Bye
Okay,
bye.
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 Mwah. You all know we love sharing things that actually support women in this incredible stage of life. And we recently had Atessa Bradley, the founder of Standing Tall Foods, on the podcast. And we love what she and the brand stands for. Plus, we have tried the product and can vouch for the fact that it is delicious.
Right. And Standing Tall makes seasoned roasted soybeans crafted specifically for women in midlife. There are 3 delicious flavors: sea salt, chili lime, and salt and pepper. Each dry roasted to crunchy perfection. Unlike others, Standing Tall soybeans are premium, non-GMO, and sourced in North America only. And guess what? The nutrition is no joke. Each serving has 12 grams of high-quality protein, 2 grams of fiber, no sugar, and no cholesterol. Soy actually has twice the protein and half the fat of almonds.
We love that. But what we love most is the mission. Standing Tall exists to lift women up in midlife because we deserve real solutions, real nutrition, and real support.
Soy consumption is clinically linked to bone and muscle strength, heart health, fewer hot flashes, and improved skin elasticity. Soy is incredibly good for us. Standing Tall wants to make it easy for us to take charge of our health so we can live long, vibrant, and strong lives. If you want to try it, use our exclusive code, Girlish Gurus Get 15 for 15% off your first order.
We think you're going to love it.
For sure. Thanks for listening to this episode of Girlish Gurus. We hope you'll join us next time for more fun and inspiration. Be sure to check the description of this episode for links and information about the topic, and you can find us on our social media platforms starting with Instagram, Facebook, and now including YouTube. You can find us by searching Girlish Gurus, and you can also check out our website, girlishgurus.com, for more information on us, our projects, books, and our growing community.
And don't forget to download this episode, give it a good review, and share it with your girlfriends. We would also love to hear from you in the comments because the more interaction we get, the more episodes we can post. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.